Hey, it's Steve Spangler. You know, years ago, I got a chance to visit every Jefferson County school doing our hands-on science program. But today, almost all of my work is with teacher training and getting kids excited about science, but starting in the classroom. And that's why we've looked at video, and that's why I'm so excited about JPS-TV and some of the cool things you're sharing there. So when I was asked to be able to share some of my favorite videos, I jumped at the opportunity. Look at this. We're making why wouldn't you want to make thunder, right? You're going to make thunder and fake blood and dry ice concoctions and glowing things. I want to share with you some of my favorite Halloween science stuff. You're not going to see it all in this video, but for more of those videos, visit us on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Steve Spangler Science, or visit us over at sickscience.com.
You probably guessed it, it's Halloween. And Halloween is not just another day of the week at the Spangler household. It's like a religious experience. We work on it for months and months. We've got the coolest activities. You're going to grab some dry ice and a whole bunch of stuff that you're going to find out around the house, because I'm going to show you how to be the hit of your next Halloween party. But you got to start working right now. I'm Steve Spangler, and I'm all about making science fun. For the last 20 years, I've been teaching ways to turn ordinary science experiments into unforgettable learning experiences. I have an amazing team who will do whatever it takes to affect the way people think about science. And to do that, I live by one motto: make it big, do it right, give it class. Well, all the things you're going to learn how to do today could be done in your kitchen, and we could be doing this in the famous Spangler Effect kitchen that you've all seen, but why would I when we're here in Littleton, Colorado? And if you ever get a chance to come to Colorado, or at least this part of it, you've got to stop at the greatest place in the whole world. It's called the Reinke Brothers. These people take Halloween to a whole different level. If you look behind me, this is what happens year-round. So the setting is perfect for us. We found some really cool things. Don't tell them that I've actually walked the aisles and found some other stuff. The only thing you're going to have to get that's special is about 10 pounds of dry ice. Before I even get started, I know what your comments are going to be. Some of you are going to write on the comments, you can make dry ice. You simply get a fire extinguisher. No, you can't. Okay, you probably can. It's dumb. It's $1.50 a pound, and it's your local grocery store, so it's easy. You just need to go with some tools and be prepared to bring it home. You just bring it home in this brown paper bag, you're going to lose some. So I would suggest like a cooler would be fantastic. So just a cooler that you would take, you know, for a picnic, something like that. But you're going to need some other things as well. So take your gloves. You remember dry ice is 110 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, 78.5 degrees below 0 Celsius, super cold. And you don't want to touch it with your bare skin. So the leather gloves are going to be perfect. You're also going to need to have a hammer because you're going to break it up into some small pieces, and a little protective eyewear would be perfect as well. Just break it up into some small pieces. This is exactly why you need that protective eyewear, because you can kind of a little chip. It'll come up and hit you right in the eye. Now, you remember that it's called dry ice for a reason. That's because when it melts, and no, it doesn't actually melt, it sublimes. And the reason it sublimes is it goes from a solid into a gas without going through the liquid phase. It's actually frozen carbon dioxide. So they take carbon dioxide gas, they freeze it, they of course compress it, and you get dry ice. So if you were to take this and put this on a plate like this, hear that sound? Listen, it's the greatest sound in the world. That's screaming ice. It's because this plate here is room temperature, so what, is that 75 degrees or so? But this dry ice being 110 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit causes that plate to vibrate. You get this wonderful screaming sensation. You can also do it this way as well. Here's the hammer, listen to this. Kind of nice. Who doesn't think that's a great spooky sound? Now, if you're actually doing this as a science lesson, you're going to want to do the same thing with a regular chunk of ice. Take a similar sized piece of ice, put it on a plate, put this piece of ice on another plate, put it someplace so that, of course, people can't go and touch it with their bare skin. At the end of the day, you're going to have a puddle of water with ice. You're going to have absolutely nothing but just a cold plate with the dry ice. And, of course, there's no way that real ice will make this wonderful sound. That's good. Well, here's what most people do. They'll get a container like this, they'll fill it with some ordinary tap water, then put the glove on. Yes, you put the glove on. You pick up the dry ice, drop it inside, and you call it good. It's your bubbling whatever. It's good, but it's not great. And the way that you can make it better is you can change a couple things. First of all, use warm water instead of cold water. This water here will get cold fairly quickly. So the warmer the water you start with, the better the clouds that you get. The other thing is the container. If you're actually giving this to somebody to hold on to, I think you want to be a little worried about them reaching down inside and being able to possibly touch the dry ice. I've got a better container. You're just going to have to search. This is a plastic graduated cylinder. Now you use some warm water in a plastic graduated cylinder and drop a few pieces of dry ice down inside here. And the great thing about this is that you can hand it to a kid, for example, and they can't get their hand down inside to be able to touch the dry ice. Other thing is, I like the little spout here because there's no way that you can cap this at all. Well, you can try to cap it, but it shoots the little dragon's breath out to the side. The dangerous part, as you know, the dry ice and water and anything that gets contained, of course, produces incredible pressure. So make sure that there's never any top that's on any container that you have with dry ice where it's not vented and you can let some of the pressure out. Warm water and, yeah, a little coloring is fine. A little food coloring or a fluorescent dye or something. You got the perfect spooky liquid. Here's a great easy one to do that'll keep kids busy for hours. You're going to need to have a container of some kind. This plastic bowl is perfect. I'm using the graduated cylinder. You could use any type of tall container because we want this eruption of, you'll see bubbles here in just a second, to come out of the top. So start with your warm water. Seems to be pretty good. And for this one here, you don't want too much dry ice. So just find a chunk of dry ice. I think that should be just about right. And that goes down inside and that will produce all of the bubbling that we need. The only other thing that you need on top of that is a little squirt of dish soap and probably some towels. Just a little bit of that dish soap is all you need because now the carbon dioxide that's being produced here gets trapped in those bubbles. And if you don't put a lot of it in there and a lot of dry ice, you get this little eruption that starts to come up, which is a nice surprise. But for those people who want to touch, now this is perfectly safe because you can actually pick up these bubbles here, and when you squeeze, you release all of that fog, right? So here's what's happening. The dry ice, of course, is bubbling away. That carbon dioxide gas is being released. And a small amount of that dish soap is all you need to be able to trap all of that carbon dioxide in the air inside here. So you almost get this fog-like effect that's perfectly safe for people to touch. It keeps them busy for hours. Well, sure, you could do the bubbling thing with this sissy little graduated cylinder, but why would you? It's the Spangler effect. You need to have one of these big bad boys. That's a huge graduated cylinder I got from Doug Hodis. Just never took it back. It just means that you gotta have a whole lot more. So here's the water, right? Here's your dry ice, so this will be great. We don't need any sissy action here. We want good bubbling. And now a nice little shot of that soap. This will be perfect. Oh, see, I told you it'd be great. Isn't this fancy? The problem is, I don't know how to actually make it stop. Hey kid, do you want this? Your mom said, oh my God. Oh, see ya. God. This next thing is called Boo Bubbles. You're going to want to make this thing. It's a dry ice fog generator. You're just going to need to head to the local hardware store and get a few supplies. All right, here's what you're going to need. A little towel to start with because we're going to allow the bubbles to be able to rest on here. And this is the dry ice fog generator. So here's what I did. I just found this plastic jar, and to the plastic jar I cut a hole in the side of the plastic jar and walked around the hardware store until I could find a fitting that I could easily kind of put into the plastic jar and attach it from the other side. So I hooked this together along with a piece of hose. On the end of the piece of hose, it's just another fitting that I found in the plumbing department. I just want a way to be able to put the bubble solution around here and kind of dip some bubble solution in here so that we can possibly blow a bubble out this end. So we'll start with dry ice and some warm water in here. We're not going to take this lid and put it back on. It's vented so it wouldn't do anything bad, but I'm actually going to use the lid as a way to be able to control the flow of the carbon dioxide. Let's start by making some bubble solution. You're going to take a small little container. You could use a glass. This is just a little plastic cup, some water, and it's not technical at all, just a squirt of the dish soap, and that should be perfect. So now it's time to make some fog. You're going to use your fog generator, some warm water. Doesn't have to be a tremendous amount, just enough to be able to cover the bottom there. And our pieces of dry ice down inside. A couple good sized chunks should be perfect. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Nice. And now I'm going to use the lid to be able to cover it up. And remember, when I cover it up here, it's got to go somewhere. So that's where the fog, or this dry ice smoke, carbon dioxide, comes out. It's also a great exfoliant. All right, so you don't need the gloves anymore. Now here's what I'm going to do is take the end and dip it into the bubble solution like this, so it just coats it. And now use the cap to be able to cover it up and to try to force, oh, it's perfect, look at this, to force the carbon dioxide into the bubble. Oh, perfect. These are boo bubbles. Notice how it doesn't pop when it sits here? Well, some of them don't pop. If you'll remember the bubble episode, we talked about the strength of a bubble, and we used that glove to create that bouncing bubble. It's the same thing that's happening here. You're just taking the towel and using it to be able to support the bubble. Remember, the towel doesn't have any real oils or a lot of dirt, and it supports the bubble fairly nicely. No special glycerin or anything like that. We're just using regular bubble solution. I got an idea. If you could bring this up to your hand once again, you might be able to play with now a boo bubble in your hand. Higginsworth, get a glove. Here is your little toy for doing such a good job on the show. There's your toy, bounce it. Come on, bounce. Now take that back and you can play with that in your room. Oh, go to your room. You broke it. All right, the boo bubble generator is great if you're gonna have a small little party there, but if you want big oohs and ahs, you need a big bubble generator. Here's just a large water jug, and I've put the dry ice in the warm water inside, and then I found this hose. I don't even know where I found it. I just borrowed it from somebody. And so the hose goes over the top like this. Got it? And now the fog easily comes out this end here. So here's what we're going to need to do is to get this controlled so that I can cause the bubbles to come out and make a large bubble here on the table. So you dip the end into the bubble solution here, and now let's just see if we can make a large bubble. Now it may take a little practice, but you can create this massive bubble here, and if you can pull it off here like this, it may even just stay there. Perfect, look, there's our bubble, and tell me that's not cool. Well, if you're looking for something to do at the very end of the party that's cool for all the guests, don't forget our little vortex ring launcher using dry ice, the solo cup, and the membrane that's on the other side here like this. When you pop them here, you get these beautiful little vortex rings. Have a great Halloween. Is that it? Is that all I have to do? Hate Halloween. Look at this, the bubble actually fills with the carbon dioxide gas like this. That's a cool boo bubble.